Hey everyone and welcome back to my channel. So back in May during this year's virtual version of the CW Upfronts, the CW announced their new slate for the fall and winter season, but there were a few shows missing from the slate. Among them were the 100 prequel and the Arrow spinoff Green Arrow and the Canaries. However, as Deadline reported, Mark Pedowitz, the president of the CW, said that both shows were very much alive and he was having active discussions with Warner Bros. About them. The other show that was mentioned was Katie Keene, but since then that show has been cancelled after one season. It was obvious that would happen from the moment they cast Lucy Hale. It was never confirmed if Green Arrow and the Canaries and the 102nd Dawn were against each other, but there did seem to be only one remaining spot on their slate. So going off of that assumption, now that both Backdoor Pilots have aired and we've seen what both shows have to offer, I thought I would go over the two shows and compare them in some areas. And remember, this is all my opinions. Leave your thoughts in the comments if you agree or disagree. Okay, so let's start off with the plot of both shows. Green Arrow and the Canaries is the Arrow spinoff that follows Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke's daughter, Mia Smoke, along with Dinah Laurel Lance and Dinah Drake. The series takes place decades after Oliver Queen's death in the year 2040, where Mia Queen is now a socialite who has everything she ever wanted, and she's getting married to John Diggle Jr. until Laurel and Dinah show up and she regains her pre-crisis memories. Now her relationship with JJ is in trouble since she remembers that he was Deathstroke in the previous timeline, and the mystery villain has restored his memories. Laurel decides to stay in the future as Star City is once more in danger, and Dinah will deal with living in a new timeline that she was thrown into while the world has forgot her. The 102nd Dawn is the prequel to the story we've been following for 7 seasons and will focus on the children of Bill Cadigan, the Shepherd. Callie Cadigan was a member of the activist group Tree Crew and the creator of the Grounder language. She took Becca's side against her father, becoming a Nightblood and escaping from the bunker with Becca's followers who would go on to become the Grounders. She must now be the first Flamekeeper and choose the next commander after Becca's death, but her brother Reese Cadigan, who she turned into a Nightblood, is coming after her to get the flame back to his father. If the show gets picked up, Jason Rottenberg, the showrunner of The 100, said that Callie and the Grounders will look for the other survivors and give them the cure by making them into Nightbloods, which opens up the possibility that maybe Callie's friend Lucy could have survived. The show will explore the origins of the Commanders, the evolution of the Flame, how the Grounders split up into different clans, and Jason also said that similarly to Arrow, we could be getting flashbacks that would show the Earth before the apocalypse, and he also has a plan to incorporate the first generation on the Ark and Bill and the Disciples as they travel into the anomaly. Green Arrow and the Canaries would star Catherine McNamara as Mia Queen, the Green Arrow, Katie Cassidy as Dinah Laurel Lance, the Black Canary, and Juliana Harkavy as Dinah Drake, also the Black Canary. The 102nd Dawn would star Eola Evans as Callie Cadigan, Adaine Bradley as Reese Cadigan, and Leo Howard as August. So Green Arrow and the Canaries had its backdoor pilot in the penultimate episode of Arrow back in January, which had the same name as the show and followed Crisis on Infinite Earths. Meanwhile, Second Dawn's backdoor pilot aired a few weeks ago as the 8th episode of the final season of The 100, titled Anaconda. In my opinion, the 100 had the stronger backdoor pilot, although I enjoyed both of them. Anaconda had a much more interesting story to tell, and Green Arrow and the Canaries kind of felt like just another episode of Arrow. I was hooked immediately with Anaconda, and I think it was one of the best episodes of The 100. But with Green Arrow and the Canaries, I enjoyed the characters, but the first half of the episode was a bit slow and a bit weaker. And speaking of the characters, I loved Laurel Lance and Dinah Drake, so I was happy to see more focus on them, and they're the reason why I would like to see the spin-off happen. I never really enjoyed Mia Smoke. She seemed like a ripoff of her father, but with even less personality, and I don't think Kat's performance was that good. Now with Anaconda, I also thought that the acting was a bit bad at some points, but I ended up liking the characters, and I hope that we get to explore more of Bill Cadigan, because the family dynamic was one of the best parts of the episode, and that would be lost in the prequel if it only focused on Callie and Reese, which is one problem I had with the backdoor pilot, because it didn't really give us a glimpse of what the show is actually going to be, it just set it up. Meanwhile, Green Arrow and the Canaries threw us right into the story. Although another problem I have with Green Arrow and the Canaries is that just like Legends of Tomorrow and Black Lightning, it might feel too separated from the other Arrowverse shows due to taking place in the future, which is why I would have preferred for Mia to stay in the past. Now let's go over the ratings for both backdoor pilots. The CW has never been a channel that cared a lot about ratings, but with the recent loss of the Netflix deal for new shows, we saw that low ratings did affect Katie Keene, so they would probably take them into considerations for these spin-offs. Green Arrow and the Canaries had 0.92 million viewers, which, other than Crisis, was the high point for Arrow Season 8. Meanwhile, Anaconda had a high point of 0.669 viewers. So both of them were the high point of their shows, but Arrow did have higher ratings, although the 100 has been struggling with ratings for a while, and that might affect their decision to pick it up if they don't think enough people are going to watch it. However, Green Arrow and the Canaries also had the benefit of airing right after Crisis on Infinite Earths, because the crossovers always get higher ratings and get more people to watch the next episode. Now the next part is how original the shows are, and if they bring something new to the table. In this case, I think the 100 Second Dawn is the better option. At first it might seem like a copy of the original show, and I did think one problem with the pilot was that it kinda set up your typical post-apocalypse story, but since we got more explanation from Jason of where he would like to take the show, it really feels like it could be something amazing, and I love the universe and lore that the show has set up. Meanwhile, with Green Arrow and the Canaries, I already brought up the problem that it just felt like another episode of Arrow. It doesn't bring anything new to the table, and it would just be another superhero show, which the CW already has a lot of. Not that I'm complaining, because I love the Arrowverse, even with all of its problems. If they want something new, it would seem better to add Second Dawn, rather than adding another show to the Arrowverse, which is already going to introduce a new show this season with Superman and Lois. The next part I want to go over is the budget. We don't know what the budget of each show will be, but the CW is known for having really low budgets, so if they want to save money, Green Arrow and the Canaries would probably be the better choice, because even though it takes place in the future, it did not really try to differentiate their world from ours, other than some more advanced technology and some hideous makeup and eyelashes they gave their characters. Other than that, it was pretty much the same Star City we've seen for the past 8 years. Meanwhile, Second Dawn would have to create a whole world that has been destroyed, but while it's closer to our civilization, it hasn't become the one that we saw in the 100. Also, although Green Arrow and the Canaries is a superhero show, they wouldn't need much CGI for the canary cries, and they always find some ways to depower them anyway. Now let's go over the fandoms. Both shows have very loud and active fandoms that are honestly really toxic. The problem with Green Arrow and the Canaries is that it's putting together its two most vocal sections of the fandom that hate each other. The Laraver shippers, or Black Canary fans who are watching for Laurel Lance, and then the Olicity shippers who are watching for Mia Smoke. So there would immediately be a problem with that, especially with all the tension there would be between them, especially on Twitter, and with all the hate the actresses will probably receive. Second Dawn, on the other hand, has the benefit of focusing on new characters, so that previous ship wars will not transition over into the new show. However, that's also a bad thing, because some of the biggest parts of the fandom are the Belark shippers and the Klexa shippers, so the show could lose potential viewers if they end up disappointing these parts of the fandom. But Green Arrow and the Canaries also has the benefit of having Catherine McNamara as the lead, because she already has a large fan base that will watch whatever she's in, and they also have Katie Cassidy's fans, and the actors for Second Dawn are mostly newcomers, so they don't have established fan bases. The next two parts are something that CW shows seem to care a lot about, so let's go over them. So I mentioned the previous ships on the 100, but the new show doesn't have any big ships that would draw in viewers as of right now. But I have seen people shipping Callie in August, so maybe that could be the new Belark. When it comes to ships, Green Arrow and the Canaries has the benefit that we got to know the characters on Arrow, so there are already some ships that have been set up, the biggest ones being Dinah Siren and Smoking Arrow, which are Dinah and Laurel, and Mia and Connor. This leads into the next topic of diversity. So if both of these couples actually happen, Green Arrow and the Canaries would have an LGBTQ couple and an interracial couple. The CW is known for their value of diversity and inclusion, as you can see with their commercials saying they are open to all, so this would be a benefit for the show. When it comes to diversity, both shows also have a woman of color as one of the leads, but Second Dawn will have Callie as the main character, and it has a chance to redeem the 100's past controversies with killing off their black male characters with Reese. The final area I wanted to go over is the source material, which doesn't really matter because both shows have gone really far away from their source material to the point where they're telling a completely different story. However, I guess Green Arrow and the Canaries does have the benefit of having Black Canary stories to draw from for Dinah and Laurel, but Jason has never really followed the books with the 100, but he has managed to make even better stories in my opinion, so not having source material isn't really a problem for Second Dawn. Anyway, I'm not sure which show I think deserves to be picked up, because these are spin-offs of two of my favorite shows, and I see benefits to both of them. I would love to see the Black Canary story continue and for Katie Cassidy to get more attention on the show, but I feel like it would probably focus more on Mia unless the rumors are true that this show was being rewritten into a Canary show. And while I love the characters on Arrow, with Second Dawn I'm really interested in the story and the world building that they've done, because I love the universe that they've created on the 100. I would like to see both shows continue, but right now I think I might pick Second Dawn, although that might be because the 100 is the one that's on right now. With the 100's final Comic-Con panel coming up, we might get the news of it getting picked up, but based on some of Beth Schwartz and other Arrow writers' recent tweets, it's possible that Green Arrow and the Canaries might have been rejected, but we'll see what happens. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for similar content on the Arrowverse and the 100. Leave your thoughts in the comments and let me know which show you would prefer to be picked up, and if you agree or disagree with anything I said. Thanks for watching and have a good day. Goodbye.